Let's take you now back live to proceedings at the State Capture Commission.
Also in crime intelligence, so they were not oblivious to those. Can I say that there is an interview that was done by one of the current members, Dr. Mbuyiseni Ndlozi, who said in that interview on TV that he is aware that we are doing what we are supposed to be doing, but the failure is at a point of implementation by the committee itself.
But somehow it seems that even though different members of that committee may be aware, including members of opposition parties serving on that committee, may be aware of the problem, it looks like they can't get action to be taken by the committee. Because from what you have said, it looks like no action seems to have been evident or seems to be taken that is effective. At least if anything has been done, it seems not to have been effective. But
that is my
can't
submission.
tell what it is that may have been done.
That is my submission, Chairperson.
Yes. And one doesn't know whether it might be the same problem that has been experienced by some portfolio committees in Parliament in regard to oversight, where members of opposition parties say we can push as far as we can if the ANC members of the party who are in the majority don't agree. We can't do anything because the decision must be by majority. So one doesn't know whether that is the situation with this committee as well.
Well, whether that's a satisfactory explanation or not, from a member of Parliament, is something we will make submissions on in due course.
Chair. No, that's fine. Thank you. Let's continue.
But in summary then, the problems that you've raised, the impropriety, the illegalities, the loss of monies, the inadequate accounting for monies, the looting that you've spoken about, the improper use of monies in factional battles, those are all in your reports?
They're all in my reports, Chairperson.
No member of the JSCI can claim ignorance of what you have reported to the JSCI.
Not at all, because to confirm that, I would have submitted the certificates in a redacted version to the Chairperson. All what I removed was methods that they use, sources, but I also removed organizational weaknesses. But in terms of the transactions, I made it a point that the Commission becomes aware.
So when we get those certificates, the Chair will be able to see exactly what the JSCI knew, apart from the redaction.
That is correct, Chairperson.
Would you be able to say whether, because of the reductions that you made, there would be nothing wrong with those reports now? I can't remember whether they are classified or not, your certificates being available to the Commission if those reductions have been made? Or there would still be a problem even if there are reductions?
No, there wouldn't be problems because I deal with administrative issues with regard to procurement, for instance. And I think I would have made submissions earlier or later to say that there's generally overclassification and it is done to hide malfeasance. So I've worked on the certificates to an extent that I am satisfied that they can be made public also. That is the reason why I would have removed the other issues.
Well, I would be very interested in seeing those certificates, those reports, insofar as one can look at them without any problems in terms of security and so on.
Thank you, Chair.
Chair, our understanding, we've looked at this quite carefully and have consulted externally as well, is that you would be entitled as chair to see the unredacted versions of the certificates.
Yes, okay.
However, for the purposes of your report and whatever goes public, the redacted version would be necessary to be revealed.
Okay.
Provided, of course, the person in control and who has the lawful power to deal with it agrees.
Yeah, okay. No, that's fine.
And that is Dr. Dintwe.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I think it would be important in order to get the full picture. Whatever can be dealt with publicly without being in breach of any law, it would be good to look at that. Whatever I can look at out away from the public, that might also be important if it can be done.
We'll consider the position.
Yeah, okay.
I have considered that position. It is, in fact, my administrative decision that I sent to the 4 functionaries that I consulted with to say that there are 2 levels of disclosure here. The first disclosure is to yourself, Chairperson, and maybe I also mean the legal team. The second disclosure is then to the public.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. All right. In paragraph 131, page 816, you deal with what is another serious issue in your terms in relation to crime intelligence. And you say in paragraph 132, our investigations have revealed that the systematic and endemic institutionalized looting of the Secret Services account is carried out and perpetuated by senior managers within crime intelligence and their trusted subordinates under the guise of legitimate intelligence operations in order to avoid culpability and accountability in the event of detection. Now, these issues, or some of them at least, are in the hands of law enforcement agencies at present. But would you tell the Chair, please, in general terms, what you say in paragraphs 131 and following? And you give an example in paragraph 133.
Yes, I give an example of that, and I used the word looting deliberately because it's pure looting. Yes, of course, there are investigations that are taking place. We were also promised that the crime intelligence itself will conduct its own internal investigation. To date, we are aware of about 2 members who are dismissed. I think that they've appealed and so forth based on those findings. Now, what was happening there, and I'm giving an example later, is that we were even calling the subordinates the runners. What will happen is that a chief financial officer based at crime intelligence will be involved in operations. An example of an operation here is that he will handle a source, and it's not acceptable. But because he cannot go and claim money for that particular source, he will use a captain or a colonel or a warrant officer somewhere because he will be a major general. So a poor captain will go, collect money, give it to the CFO. The CFO will then claim that I would have paid a source. And the settlement will then be done on behalf of the captain, not on behalf of the person who claims that they are actually real handlers of that particular person. So we are calling them runners, that these senior managers will then have these other people.
So a senior official would require a subordinate to go and collect money allegedly for the payment of a source.
That's correct, Chairperson.
That money would be given to the senior official who had no authority to deal with sources at all.
That is correct, Chairperson.
And that senior official would then say or claim, perhaps not, that that money had been handed to a source. Correct?
Yes, he will just return and give him something and say that I've given to the person that I've given, so you can go back.
But the person accounting to the system, as it were, the accounting system, would be the runner, the person deputized by the senior official. Is that correct?
That is correct, Chairperson. And during the investigation, what was also surprising is that I think that we'll have an affidavit. I stand to be corrected here by the staff members in my office. But in an instance where a subordinate will tell us that I do not have any proof that the money was given to a source. I don't even know who that source is.
Yes, that's the point I wanted to raise. The subordinate or the runner who is used to collect the money, allegedly to hand over to a source, and is used by the senior officer. That subordinate or runner has never seen, in this example, the source.
Not at all.
Cannot, but nevertheless accounts and says that the money has gone to the source.
Yes, that's what the account will say.
Let me also just make sure I understand it. So you have somebody such as a CFO who, in terms of his authority and job description, is not supposed to have a source.
That's correct, Chair.
And a source here is an operative. Is that right? Or it can be.
I don't know. I don't know if I'll not be discussing the method here.
Yeah.
But a source could be somebody at the taxi
gives
rank.
Information.
Yes, it's somebody at the taxi rank. Yeah, it's not a police official.
Yeah.
It could be somebody at the taxi rank who says that.
Yes.
We come out of today's proceedings.